Okay, fine. Stop it. Oh, come on. When you turn on the aircon, is it? No, that's exploding. Okay. And then one head and bell. Yeah. Alright, welcome to one of IM show. My name is Steve. Along with me are like a lot of trainees and then like one panelist. So without further ado, let's invite them. Go ahead. Panel, war forces people to do terrible things. Terrible things that may seem illogical at first. War forces people to disregard their humanity, to see their opponents as mere targets. It forces us to see things often in a very utilitarian manner. And that's where the idea of the scorched earth policy began. It started the idea for you to burn down your crops, for you to burn down transportation, for you to burn down any forms of communication, for you to poison the wells, for you to not give anything, for you to not give an inch to your opponent. It allows you to retreat while at the same time holding, while at the same time making sure that any progress that has been done by the aggressors will be meaningless. Why has this scorched earth policy and tactics been made illegal? It has been made illegal because it's been judged morally wrong for you to deny victims of war the ability for them to progress post-war, for them to see themselves as for them to push and reconcile their lives post-war. We've seen the tactics being proven and done well in many historical contexts. Russia has used it well against Germany in World War II. British Malaya used it against the Japanese in World War II. And Kuwait used it against Iraq in Desert Shield. But before that, yes.
Sir, would you allow cluster ammunition, chemical weapon, as well as mines, because those fit the same characteristic as scorched earth?
The difference is that scorched earth tactics are done to your own land, to your own people. Mines, cluster ammunition, and cluster bombings, or any other different types of weapons are often not fully targetable. It means that there are collateral damage that results in the deaths of human lives of non-combatants. The difference here is that scorched earth tactics means that only the aggressors are likely to feel the harms of it, while the people who return post-war will often be helped by the government and by humanitarian sources. The burden that we want to push here is that we want to show you, outside opening governments, that scorched earth tactics make it harder for aggressors to push forward. It means that whatever push that they have made within this war will be meaningless. We'll show you that it gives you a better strategic capability during and before war, and that it lowers collateral damage and ends wars faster. What will the world look like when we have this? It means that it is much easier for victims to defend their lands. It is much easier for you as perhaps a Syrian to see that when ISIS or any other, or when ISIS or Assad comes in, that they are given no edge, that they do not get any satisfaction from coming to your lands, that they are unable to rape and pillage whatever resources you have. We do not want to give them any satisfaction. What are the arguments I will bring? I will talk to you about how scorched earth tactics can benefit defenders, about how it can better apply to ensure that we can end wars better, about how we can end wars faster, and make sure that the enemies can never really push on. And for that, yes, opening.
Sir, are you okay with destroying hospitals because, well, scorched earth tactic destroys everything on its pathway?
Yes, we will take that as the caveat. We will take that as destroying hospitals, destroying any utilities to be so. Why? Because we do not want the opponents to profit from things like this. We do not want them to profit from any sort of abilities that they can get. Now, how do we do so? Firstly, on the first level of analysis, I will talk to you about why scorched earth politics, scorched tactics are moral. Why is it moral as compared to other forms of war tactics that have often been banned? It's because the difference here is that scorched earth tactics are done to yourself. You know where you want to place it, then you know that it can be reversible at the end. It can be reversible at the end without the adverse negative harms of uncertainty that occurs as compared to mines or other chemical weapons. It means that when we do so, it means that we want our lands to be safe, we want our lands to be able to be defended by ourselves, and therefore that's why we're poisoning our crops, that's why we're softening our earth. Because we will admit that we will lose the battle, but we will win the war. We want to ensure that the victims of war will always have a higher advantage in war. Because the victims of war will often see themselves as the victims. That the aggressors are the perpetrators who have come to do whatever they want. That people who live in Afghanistan saw American soldiers as people who will come down to your lands, pillage and rape your people, change your views, change your lifestyles. And by enabling scorched earth tactics, this means that we can easily deny them of any push, of any movements that we want to have. Secondly, on the idea that second level analysis, on the idea that when we are doing this for the greater good of our country. Why so? When we deny the enemy our resources, it means that we cannot take and expend. World War II stopped the end. World War II stopped the end of any wars of acquisition. It means that countries are very unlikely to have wars that can enable them to conquer new lands or to conquer and acquire new resources. It means that when we burn our oil wells, when we burn our crops, it means that the enemies cannot use them and take them for profit. It means that whenever ISIS comes, whenever a terrorist group like ISIS comes, they can't do much because the oil wells have already been burned. They need to invest in new infrastructure to ensure that any of the profits that they make comes to them. It means that we can have a better solidarity against the enemy. Why so? Because when you are victims, you have a stronger moral value. It means that you are more likely to be united against the enemy. And when you do so, when you deny them the ability for them to move forward, that's when you get a better solidarity. That's when you get a better solidarity because we are giving them a proverbial middle finger to the enemy and so that you cannot do whatever you want just because you're already here. The caveat here is that yes, we do agree that infrastructures will be destroyed, that people will have a harder time to move on post-war. Why is it important? Because now governments have a higher incentive and higher reason for them to push for greater infrastructure building. They need to rebuild the country. They need to rebuild everything for the betterment of the people. It means that humanitarian aid is not likely to come because they know that as the victims, you have been forced to do so because you are so afraid of the enemy to pillage you, for them to rape and execute your families. It means that you are more likely to be safe because the very idea of scorched earth policy, because the very idea of this tactic means that you need to retreat first and give your enemy no quarter, and that's why we reject this motion. We are proud locals.
Yes. And these people for the speech that I invite you to
While the idea of disempowering enemies in times of war seems like an important thing to do, we still think that this is the kind of priority that should come second, if not third or fourth, right? We think what matters most in this debate is first ensuring the protection of the civilians, be it physically or protecting their ability to survive through those conflicts, through those wars, and give them the ability to rebuild themselves right after that. Especially when we talk about the idea of war, the reason why we opt into wars is because we want to end things quickly. We don't want a prolonged harm. But what these proposals will bring in today's debate is exactly that, prolonged harm. And we will prove that in our case today. So OG asserted that, in this policy, there's no collateral damage, things can be controlled and reversed. We think that is totally incorrect. As a matter of fact, my speech today will be directly clashing with those two parts, and rebuttals will be integrated. We think that when we talk about scorched earth tactic, this is the kind of attack that is indiscriminate and irreversible. And what often happens is, for example, if you blow up an infrastructure, if you burn things, this fire can catch on, especially if you want to burn a goddamn oil wells, right? And how do you exactly unpoison land and water, right? We don't think this is something that they can control. This is not something that they can limit or reverse, right? So with regards to the collateral damage, my speech will be divided into two parts. First, I'll talk about what happens during the conflict and how will this harm the people then, and second, what happens post-conflict. We think when this type of attack is carried out, it usually happens when things are panicked. That means they don't necessarily think twice before ruining those infrastructure, because they need to do it fast or else it won't be effective, right? And we think in that circumstances, of course, there will be civilians that are going to get harmed, right? And we don't think that's not something that we should be okay with, especially these are the vulnerable people that we need to protect first before we even think about disempowering our enemies. And also, we think that there are multiple avenues that we can use in order to disempower them. Other than that, we also think that this attack is carried out, only at the risk of losing that territory, not necessarily when it's already certain that those harms will happen. So it's a very probable thing. We think it's dangerous for us to allow such a huge indiscriminate attack conducted only on probable circumstances. So what's the effect, right? We think, considering that not all civilians will be able to escape in time, and let's say if they do survive the scorched earth, we think that the civilians will be trapped there and it will be much more difficult for them to survive within those territories. Because one, they don't have access to all the resources that you took out. They don't have resources to proper water, food, or in those things, right? But what happens even worse is we think that if that territory is occupied by those enemies, these are the kind of people that will be forced to work in order to rebuild those infrastructure for that particular enemy. So number one, you trap them in an area where they can't survive. And secondly, they'll be forced to do those things. But let's say, and we do admit, right? Sometimes these people would use this oil well, for example, to make money. But imagine the alternative, right? Let's say if ISIS don't have an oil well to make their money, we think they are more active on trying to capture slaves and go into slave trading in order to make money. They'll find other alternatives to get those money coming, and we think that it will harm individuals furthermore. So we don't think that's something that we should allow to exist, right? And on a second level, we think that what's going to happen is that you will also make it difficult for any local counterattacks to be conducted, because you need to realize that these people need to have some infrastructure in order to carry those attacks, in order to defend their bases or go against those enemies. We think those necessities need to exist for them in the first place, and the absence of that will make it difficult for them to, let's say, rebuild their places again, or in order to fight off those people. Yes, Patrick?
Okay, obviously, like what you said earlier, when this can come as a second, third, or fourth, and lower down the priority list, is not true, because you are having a blanket ban of this technique as a whole. Tell me why this cannot even be considered as a last resort, even all other efforts have failed.
This is the thing, right? We think, number one, it is supposed to, we think, when I talked about those priorities, we think disempowering the enemy is the one which should be placed last, because we think there are other multiple avenues in order to do that. But when I told you that the main priority should be ensuring to protect the people, it's because these are the most vulnerable people that don't necessarily have the ability to to protect themselves, and that's why this is as such. And we still don't think that it should be allowed as a last resort. We think that even if you want to disempower those people, there are other avenues to do that, right? Don't try to confuse me. But other than that, we think the third part of it is that when you perform this sort of tactic, what happens to the land is that it will lose its value, because obviously any territory is only valuable if you have resources, if you have those infrastructure. What does this mean? Right? We think it will make it harder for you to get any form of foreign help, and in the circumstances, this foreign help will be what you need most in those. You'll be needing most, right? Especially when you are to cut down your resources and your infrastructure. That means it's more difficult for people to win more in those particular areas. Why is it so difficult for us to get foreign help at this time? Is because if that land loses its value, if you think that those foreign help couldn't get anything in return for helping in ending and solving those wars, this means that, well, things will basically become more difficult. But here comes the second part of my speech, right? What would happen post-conflict? OJ would like to say that, oh, we want people to, be able to rebuild their countries. But how exactly do you do those things when your resources are not there anymore for you to utilize in rebuilding that particular area? We think that not only you had to deal with the aftermath of a war whereby you are most likely traumatized, so you lose your ability in terms of having a job, your country as a whole will also lose resources. And we think that in that circumstances also, the people that flee your territory have no form of incentive to come back, knowing that their land can no longer be used. Because let's take a look at, when you poison water and when you poison land, those things can't be reversed. That means that area will no longer be easy for humans to survive there. So what kind of incentive will there be for these people to come back to their country and rebuild it again when you ruin that particular country in the first place? So we think, in general, what I told you how during conflict you could cause harm to the people there and the people who wanted to fight those wars. You also make it harder for them to get foreign help that is very much needed during those times. And post-conflict, even let's say you do win those wars and you do manage to disempower and to that point, we think the ability for you to rebuild that country becomes extra harder for you, and you're already at disadvantage in those particular times. What's going to happen is you're going to create further instability, or that area itself might be not usable or fit for human anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker, for the speech, as I invite the
Mr. Speaker, no one can actually ever win a war. We think that at some point or another, regrettably, everyone will lose something. But in this debate, what we need to focus on is how do we make the best out of these wars, by reducing the impacts of harms towards the civilians in the first place. We don't see any kind of narrative coming from side opening opposition explaining how exactly under their side, even at a straight up war without using these scorched out tactics, that is still going to work and improve the civilians' life, even at the rebuilding stage of the societies in the first place. In one substantive, I will come up with two substantive. Firstly, why is it strategically advantageous towards the state and also its defenders in these scorched tactics? And secondly, how it provides better facilitation at the post-war. But first thing first, let's understand the quarrel of the opponents within this war itself, the gravity of harms imposed by the opposition of the state in a war. So what kind of harms that we are to be expected from this opposition who will hurt the civilians in the first place? They will cause a lot of greater harms, as explained by Azim, like rape, for example, how they will still destroy the properties and facilities of these individuals in the first place. So we say harms will still occur under our side, but I will show to you how exactly it will be better under our side because of the idea of this scorched tactic in the first place. We don't think under their side they will provide or ensure protection of these civilians because they still allow these resources to be flourishing within the lands of these civilians in the first place. We think this will only open space or loophole for the opponents to take advantage of all these facilities that you give to us. For example, these hospitals where they can use this to use people like human shields, for example, at these hospitals. So on our side, like how exactly is it going to be strategically advantageous for these individuals? I will prove to you how exactly the scorched tactic is actually an idea of retreat in the first place. But before that, yes, sir.
Man, you portray it as if it's a silver bullet in war. Would that mean this is the first resort that you use because you will minimize all the harms of war as you want to?
No, that's not the first resort. We see that it can still be a good tactic for these states to use in the first place if they are at a desperate part of their life. My rebuttals will be integrated within my speeches, right? So first thing first, let's talk about why is it a strategically advantageous move for the state to take in the first place. But let's think of the idea of retreat in the first place. When you talk about scorched earth tactics, what happens? As explained earlier in Azim's speech, how these states, aka the defenders, will destroy the resources that they already have on their own land, so that the opponents cannot make use or like be benefiting from all these resources, right? But we see how exactly it's going to be advantageous to these people, right? Firstly, it means that it's less likely to have conflict as the opponents will be more tired, because now when you destroy the resources, then you move back, retreat back, take a step back, so that the opponents will come forward and then you destroy more. So that's how they will grow tired when you keep on destroying stuff and they know that they can no longer move and they will stop right there. So, but how exactly does this happen? When you destroy, you don't just let these civilians to be trapped within their spaces in the first place, like Slimi said, right? We say that before you destroy all these resources that they have, you have to pull out the civilians first, because obviously, state's responsibility is to help the civilians in the first place. So you need to protect them, because then what's the point of you being a state in the first place? So the state will always have the incentive to help the civilians and try their best to actually protect by pulling them out of these areas in the first place. So after they have pulled out the civilians, perhaps what will happen after the destroyance of all these resources in the first place is that like they're gonna impose rations to these people in order to distribute or better manage and distribute resources towards the civilians so that it can continue survivability, right? So let's move to the second point, how we can help with the better facilitation at the post-war. So let's talk about the rebuilding of societies in cities that have gone through war. For example, Malaysia, West Russia, Japan after Okinawa attacked by the US in the first place. Under their side, if normal war, for example, is going to provide lesser harm, so explain to us how exactly Aleppo, it's not the same thing that happened in Aleppo, right? They didn't use the scorched out tactics. So they are a product of a straight up war. The land still has no value because after the war, it has been completely destroyed anyway. So how exactly on your side is going to improve the situation in the first place? So we don't see that how it's going to improve on your side anyway, right? From a straight up war without the scorched out tactics in the first place. On our side, what's going to happen is that we see that the states will have better capability for rebuilding, because now they have the ability to withdraw everything. Like it means that they get to start anew. Why? So why exactly we say that there will be better resources after the war for these people? Firstly, they will have the incentive to rebuild. Like you can see Malaysia after British has destroyed all the resources in order to prevent the Japanese from moving forward to occupy the land. You can see in West Russia how they become better. So we say that they will always be more incentive to rebuild since now they know that they will have to work harder in order to gain the resources, and also now they are not restricted by boundaries of the old ideas on how to achieve advancement within their own nations. So we say these societies or the people within the nations that have been deprived because of this war to be more innovative and creative in terms of coming up with the ideas in order to improve their nations. You see Japan that have been badly damaged because of the wars, but it can be one of the leading countries in technology, for example. So it just shows examples that even after these scorched out tactics, it doesn't mean that you will fall back behind. You can always have the incentive to go forward. So secondly, we say that there's also a humanitarian reason for the state to do so, right? Because now, how? because it's also okay for the state, because when they want to rebuild their nations, after seeing all this, they have allied countries, humanitarian aids to help these individuals in the first place. The world will always sympathize with the defenders because they have seen the horror that these defenders have to go through in the first place. Now we know that the states will always have to be prepared a few steps ahead. At least under our side, what we prove to you is that this approach is reversible because of the things, the innovative creation that these people can come up with, and also because of the lack of opposition can't really move forward, because now the length of the time for the war to happen is less likely to be prolonged because of that, right? So we say that the foreign